Hello, this is Eric White. This is part three to why I left Jehovah's Witnesses. So basically, at this point, I'm still preaching in high school. I'm probably working on becoming an unbaptized publisher, or I'm probably already one. I think I'm working on being baptized, maybe, or that's starting to come into question. Me being baptized, but at this point, I'm having questions, doubts. I always had doubts, but yeah, it's at this point it's much more there. So one of them was Jesus being a God. Okay, so my father will always tell me, hey, they took the word and put a, the word was a God. I'm like, whatever. And so yeah, it's like, did it change the Bible to fit their doctrine? Jesus being a God, the word was a God, which is like a demigod. Even if that's true, wouldn't that contradict the Old Testament? Jehovah being the Almighty, and thou shalt only worship me, and I'm a jealous God, and you shouldn't worship no other gods, even a demigod. I would assume it's just confusion or contradictions. Number two, I'm the Alpha and Omega. It seems like the Revelations was saying that the Bible was saying that Jesus is the Alpha and Omega. Yeah, I'm the Alpha and Omega. Revelations 22:13. And there's other scriptures too. Can't remember clearly, but it seems like the witnesses either try to say, "Hey, well, it's not really Jesus saying that. That's a conflict. Well, Jesus probably didn't say that. Or reasons why he probably said it that they kind of excuse it. Well, it doesn't mean he's saying that he's God or whatever. It seemed like Jesus was saying, I'm the Alpha and Omega. Just saying. Okay, whatever. Number three, Jesus being Michael the Archangel. I always felt weird about that. So, even as a child, like, he's Jesus is Michael? It sounds like you're reaching now. You're reaching, right? So I never really bought the whole Jesus and Michael. 1 Thessalonians 4:16. Another one was the light keeps getting brighter and brighter. Some of these doubts, was throughout from childhood even up to now. So even up to like when I left or whatever, and even afterwards. So there was no specific day I had doubts, or mostly it probably was around the time I was kind of involved and just wondering. But yeah, the lights gets brighter and brighter, and it's like, really, it sounds like an excuse, like to fix problems, or to cover up issues, and change things. The lights gets brighter and brighter. And another thing that really bothered me later on, like even after I left, or before I left, was the generation. This generation will pass. It's like that. It's like a lot of time passed by. The generation should have been. We should have seen Armageddon by now, or at least the generation 1914. They're dead. Okay, so and this was even 20 years ago. That was sketchy. It's like by now something should happen. So I left about 16 years ago. So even before then, it was sketchy. That kind of bothered me. Something else, the fear tactics, like I said before, you kind of use common sense. So when I was studying, it's just common sense. It's like, because, I've manipulated people before. I know how it is to manipulate somebody. We all probably done it, even without knowing it. Sometimes, you'll say certain things to get what you want. So I noticed that in that organization, like, are they saying or doing things to make me feel a certain way? Fear tactics is one of them, and so I kind of picked that up. Let's see what else. Why does God permit suffering? Isaiah 43:10 and Proverbs 27:11. They try to. Their reason was, and that was a big one for me. Why does God permit suffering? Because when I'm preaching to somebody, I want to have the right answers. I want to make sure that I'm telling them, giving them something that's satisfying, And, so I did research, and, obviously the Jehovah's Witness believe, well, it's because, this and that. It's because, you know, uh, Jehovah wants, to show his sovereignty or something like that. He has to show that he has the right to rule and this and that. And I'm like, really? That's the reason? Like, is that it? Like, what? It sounds like Jehovah is 5 years old or something. Like, he has approved to us, his creation, that he's worthy and or whatever, or, something like that. It's like, it's like you discrediting God or something. I don't know. It just sounds so lackluster. I mean, it's lackluster or whatever the word I'm looking for. The blood transfusion, that always kind of bothered me. It's like, are y'all sure? Are you sure? If I'm in an accident, I can't take blood. You sure? A lot of people died because of this. I remember growing up reading stories of children dying. It broke my heart. So to know now that's where part of anger comes from too. So even though I left 16 years ago, the anger is still kind of there, or that sadness is there, because I'm still, it still affects you, because it's like my family still in it too, so it still affects you. So it's like, wow, a lot of people died because of a belief system, that's not true, or exaggerated, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, these are the questions I had. I'm sure I asked some questions to the elders, and he probably gave me some answer or whatever. Try to give me an answer, or the research I did wasn't satisfying really, or I would make it like, okay, well, this is good enough, but it probably wasn't. The whole disfellowshipping, like I mentioned in video 1, the whole disfellowship, I felt just, the way they treated shunning people was too extreme. Holidays, we couldn't celebrate because of these pagan beliefs, and some of them were just ridiculous. The whole John the Baptist, and whatever, King Harold or something, his birthday, whatever. I'm like, come on, guys, really? You can't celebrate Mother's Day and Father's Day? All this stuff always kind of stuck with me, even when I was preaching. And other kids will bring this up. Hey, you can't celebrate Mother's Day? Why? That's your mom. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's my mom. It's my dad. But of course, well, it's pagan or something, or this is why we don't celebrate some excuse why we don't celebrate Mother's Day or Father's Day or whatever. But on some things you can do. Some things I remember some kids going to the prom, and I was told it's a Bible conscience. Now, maybe not in your congregation, but when I was growing up, some things was like a Bible conscience. So the elders would probably say, "Oh, well, we're not quite sure, so but this, if your conscience tell you so, or not." I'm like, really? That's so gray area. Well, why? Isn't God straightforward? He's not confusing, right? So stuff like this will bother me throughout, me preaching and just, try to be a witness or whatever, or try to become one officially. And it's a couple more things. I mean, I believe you get the point though. Like these are things that are coming up. The Great Tribulation, that's another one. Not being clear. Think about that. The Great Tribulation, we're told, okay, they're going to say peace and security. They're going to do this. This is going to happen. But it's not that much information if you think about it. The Great Tribulation. It's like, hey, this is probably going to happen. The religion's going to hate us, or the government's going to hate us, and Armageddon's going to come. It's like this kind of you're not really giving too much information, And, it's just weird. Like, when is the Great Tribulation coming? Like, is it, we've been talking about this for years now. It's like, so even when I was studying whatever, I would think about that. Hey, what about the people that was here 50 years before me, 100 years before me, and y'all was telling them similar things? Either they're dead or, So, yeah. So these are some of the questions and topics I have. I'm gonna actually make videos on some of these questions and kind of use my own logic to kind of talk it out, because I have some interesting logic on some of this stuff that you probably thought about as well. So in the future videos, hopefully I'll get to that. For this video, part 3, that's pretty much what was going on at the time. I was studying, I was preaching in high school, but at the same time I was having these doubts and questions, in my head. I was getting these you know, non-satisfying answers, and I was just kind of stuff in the back of my head. After that, around 17, 18ish, I want, I was dealing with some issues, okay, and like I said in video one, part one, that I was a little too honest about certain things, and so, yeah, I told Alice a lot of my business, personal business. Some things I understand. You're trying to get baptized, you're trying to work on being an unbaptized publisher, trying to get baptized. So I was on that process of, and understand this too, that I was around 17 at the time now. So people start looking at you differently. Hey, why aren't you baptized? Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, so the pressure was on at 17. So I'm like, I gotta do something. But I was dealing with, masturbation, right? Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of us been there. Like, I was dealing with that, and I would tell my elders, like, hey, this is what's going on, and and other things too. Maybe some porn and once in a while, whatever. You fall into these traps, and